Hi, I'm Kim Eddleston from the DeMoore McKim School of Business of Northeastern University and editor of the Entrepreneur and Innovation Exchange. It is such a pleasure to be here today with Frank DePasquale, one of our country's best restaurateurs, extremely well known in the North End. He's had more than 30 ventures, trattorias, nationally acclaimed restaurants, luxury apartments, even a magazine. So today we're going to talk about his entrepreneur journey, and he's also going to offer advice for those of you who dream of opening up a restaurant one day. So let's begin. Were there some telltale signs early on that said you'd be an entrepreneur?
Well, first of all, thank you for the introduction. I have to say that at the very early stages, well, we're originally from Italy. I came here when I was 4 years old, and I knew very, very early that I wanted to learn as much as I could possibly learn. I was a sponge. I wanted to absorb. I wanted to learn. I loved the hospitality business. So that was a little bit of a sign to say that that was going to be my future. And we had an opportunity to buy this little restaurant here. I got married in 1987, and my wife actually came to me and said, you know, I'd like to be doing something. I don't want to just be a housewife and a homebody. And I said, well, I bought you a little tiny restaurant. And the very first week that she came into the restaurant, she actually fired everybody in the restaurant for either doing something wrong or by not showing up or eating or drinking or whatever on the premises. And I said, that's fine, but did you replace them? And she said to me, oh, I didn't think of that part. So I guess I was the replacement. So at that day, I put on an apron, and 30 years later, roughly 30 years later, I'm here again doing what I love to do most, and that's hospitality.
So you were pulled into entrepreneurship.
I was basically pulled into it. I did work for many years before that. I worked for the Wynn organization, which owned the Golden Nugget, and today is the Wynn Resorts in Las Vegas. And I worked for Steve Wynn, and I did a lot of their marketing up and down the East Coast. And I finally told him that I was leaving, and he says, to do what? I says, to open up a 20-seat restaurant. He told me I was totally nuts. But here we are today, and I'm totally excited to be here, and totally excited to be doing the things that I'm doing. I'm right at this moment, I'm basically putting 420 people to work.
Wow.
And in this tiny little neighborhood called the North End, which is a jewel of the country, and it's what we call in Boston, Little Italy. It's just it's the love of my life, and it's the place where I want to begin, and it's the place I want to finish.
Oh. So over the years, you've had more than 30 different ventures.
Yes.
Could you give us a quick timeline of your career path as an entrepreneur?
Okay, well, we opened this little tiny restaurant in '87, and we won a couple of Best of Bostons, and people were calling and saying, can we have a reservation for 15 or 20? And I said, unfortunately, we're only 20 seats, all right? And at that time, when I started this venture, I remember that the food was very different. At that time, people only knew iceberg lettuce. And I said, you know, going back and forth to Italy and traveling, I said, how come they're not doing arugula, endive, radicchio? How come the tomatoes don't taste the same as Italy? So I started hitting the farms and getting the real tomatoes. I looked at olive oils, and everybody was using a 10% olive oil, a pomace. And I said, it's about time that they taste extra virgin olive oil. They were doing blends of cheese to sprinkle on top of their pastas. And the cheese was not Parmigiano Reggiano. And when they tasted the Parmigiano Reggiano, they said, wow, what a different taste. And may I say that the pasta, there was only one kind of pasta. It was called Manucci at the time. And I was one of the first ones to bring the Di Cecco pasta, which has a real nice al dente bite to it. And people made note of all that. I remember the tomato sauce was all, it was all kitchen-ready tomatoes. they never had a chance to taste San Marzano or to taste a Colino tomato, small tomato that goes fantastic with clams. Even clams, they weren't using the whole clams. They were using the jarred clams, or the parsley or the basil was all sprinkled. It wasn't the fresh herbs. And I think that makes a big, big difference. They didn't know what a risotto was. The first risotto that I made, everybody thought we were trying to turn it into a Chinese restaurant. And I said, no, this is a risotto. This is different mushrooms such as porcini or all these different wild exotic mushrooms. And then they didn't believe in whole fish. And I put a couple of whole fish, a Mediterranean sea bass on the menu, or an orata, a spigula. And people really warmed up to it, and that's what they were really looking for. They were looking for an Italian restaurant the way it is over there. And I think through this restaurant here, there's been thousands of offsprings all over the country.
You've really brought the authentic Italian lifestyle and food and culture to the area, which is wonderful. Were there any defining make or break moments for you, that really some challenges you saw along the way?
Well, it's first of all, to be in the restaurant business, it's not easy. This is a very, very hard business. They actually say that 1 out of every 10 make it. And the statistics, as they show, it's really, really a tough business. You have to be hands-on. This is a marriage. As you put the ring on your finger in marriage, in a restaurant business, you cannot be an absentee owner. You have to love what you're doing. You have to appreciate the customer. You have to listen to the customer. You have to hug your staff. You build your team with love. It's a foundation of a future. It's not just about the decor. In this business, believe it or not, you're not only in the restaurant business. You're a plumber, you're an electrician, you're a psychiatrist, you're everything, a marriage counselor, you're everything in this business. And that's where all your skills have to come to make that restaurant the best. When you shake a hand, you shake it a little stronger. When you hug a person a little harder. All right? And you got to show people, you have to feel what they feel. One benefit that I had going into this business is that I've done every aspect of this business. So I was a dishwasher. I was a busboy. I was a back server. I was a waiter, a bartender, a DJ. So I just basically covered all the aspects before I decided to jump into this. And that gives you that going advantage. A big advantage in this business, as you see in the North End, and I'm the president and the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce here, we have 103 restaurants. If you know that outside of every restaurant, there's either a manager or an owner. All right, they know how much hard work it takes to build a great restaurant. Well, I have a motto, and I had a meeting about a week ago with all my staff, and I told them very simply, what makes us different from every other restaurant? And one person said, it's the service. I says, correct, but what else? And another person said, it's the food. And I says, correct, but what else? And another person said, it's the decor. And I says, correct, but what else? I says, let me tell you what makes us different from everybody else. When everybody is hungry, because every restaurant, the managers and the waiters and everybody is hungry to get more people and to attract the right clientele, you have to wake up starving. You have to have that starving attitude that you want to be the best. You don't just want to be a simple waiter. You want to be the best waiter. You want to be the best bartender. You want to be the best restaurant. And if you have that starving attitude, that's a formula for success.
How do you make sure you hire those people?
Well, you know, it's a challenge. You know, the interview process should be, of course, in depth. You should see if people jump from one restaurant to another. You want to see if it's going to be a career. You want to see if they're just going to work for you so that they can pay their college debt. You really want to make sure that they want to be a team player, because one of the biggest problems in this business is people getting along with people. All right, you could be the best waiter, but if you don't get along with others, and I certainly don't want to make a schedule according to who gets along with others. So,
have you had a mentor?
I've had many. I've had, for good or for bad, let me say. All right. I've had Steve Wynn, which is probably the king of hospitality, known all over Las Vegas for building the greatest casinos in the world. And I've watched them, and I've watched the people that have worked for him, the Charlie Myersons, and all the great marketing people that have been around him. Like I said, I'm a sponge. I swallow everything, and I watch everything that everybody does so I can become a better person and a better restaurant, and maybe a better business. I've seen a gentleman named Bob DeSalvio, who was the key to what Foxwoods Resort Casino was all about. How we put all these restaurants together in one casino, how we put shows together, how we just made that the #1 casino in the country and the biggest casino in the country. I've watched them. In the nightclub business, I've had the Jack Gatemans, the Lou Del Pidios, the Russell Robots, the you know, all the greats in the hospitality business, the nightclub hospitality business, and by good or bad, all right, I've seen the way they run their ship, and I've corrected the bads, and I made better with the goods. Mentors, I've had people that have worked for me that were almost mentors because I could see their energy and the way that they just clean a table or clean the glassware, make sure that the silverware is clean and the bathrooms are equipped with everything that a person might need, and the glass is clean, their station is perfect. And I guess they're a mentor as well.
So it sounds like you're continuously learning. What's the most valuable lesson you've learned along the way as an entrepreneur?
Well, it's be a sponge. Continually learn. Travel to know your trade. Because by traveling, you see people from the West Coast that might look at a restaurant in a different way than people in the East Coast. Europe just opens up all your horizons. You know, if you're doing an Italian restaurant, I suggest you go to Italy and travel. If you're doing a French restaurant, of course, you go to France. And if you're doing a Greek restaurant, make sure you go to Greece. And see the way that they enjoy their food. See the minute that they put the food in their mouth, the smile that comes on their face. Because honestly, it's all about eye contact. And that's what I tell waiters all the time. As soon as they put the first bite or the first sip of wine, look and see the expression that they have. See what they say to their partner or to their guests. And you can almost tell by that first bite if they're enjoying the experience or they're not. So I guess travel is a big part of the whole picture to really make you understand how to do the restaurant the way that they do it there, and you try to emulate every one of their ways of doing it.
Interesting. Now you mentioned that restaurants have one of the highest failure rates, and yet so many people dream of being a restaurant owner. What advice do you have for students who want to one day open their own restaurant or an aspiring entrepreneur?
Well, first of all, like I said, you have to love it. You have to wake up in the morning with that starving attitude that you really, really want to be there. If the biggest torture in life is to go to a job that you don't enjoy. You have to enjoy, you have to wake up with that feeling that, wow, I can't wait for the next day to go back again. It's that time to take the watch off your wrist and say, boy, there is no timeline. If I have to stay that extra hour, or come in a little extra early in the morning, it's not about the person that misses the bus or the train or shows up late every day. It's not about the person that doesn't come in dressed the right way or comes in with that lazy attitude. So many people, they honestly don't come in with that passion, and you have to have passion in order to open a restaurant. You have to love it, and once you love it, then you will learn. You will learn. Be a sponge.
So my final question. Most people struggle with one restaurant. How are you able to juggle so many incredibly successful restaurants and businesses?
It's a team. It's who you hire. I have to be honest with you. I have a bread panateria. I know what good bread is, but then again, you have to hire the best people to make that bread. Okay, I have a magazine called Scene Magazine, which is right now in 11,000 hotel rooms in Boston. And I might not know too much about the magazine business, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm hiring the best people that there are to make that magazine work. If you're doing a nightclub, hire the best promoters, hire the best people, hire the best DJs, hire the best bartenders, hire the people that are gonna bring your thoughts. When you're hiring staff, when you're hiring managers, all right, remember, they're there to manage your ideas. So you're not there to manage theirs. Like, again, I say it over and over again, it's gotta be passion. It's gotta be about love. It's gotta be about every essence of the business.
Thank you so much. Again, this is Kim Eddleston from the DeMoore McKim School of Business, Northeastern University, and it's been such a treat to be here today with Frank DePasquale. If you're in the Boston area, I highly recommend that you come to one of his many acclaimed restaurants for an authentic Italian experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you.